So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is finally here, and I figured it would just kind of be interesting to look back over the maybe troubled development kind of story for this game and just reflect on how long it's actually been since we last had a proper, Metroid Prime entry. It's been a long time. So I've got Max Wright here to talk with me today about all things Metroid Prime. He's a bit of a Metroidvania nut. So we're going to talk about what we kind of hopes are for this game, where we think the reviews might land, and generally just kind of what we're expecting from it. So let's jump into the conversation. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, I thought we'd just kind of go through what's the deal with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And like I said, I've got Max right here today joining me, talking all things Metroid. So first off, I just want to give you the opportunity to just kind of say who you are and why I think people should need to listen to what you've got to say about Metroid.
Sure. Hello, my name's Max Wright. You might have seen me over at the Steam Deck podcast on the Flip Screen Games YouTube channel. But you also, if you've ever seen me or followed me, you might have heard me talk a lot about Metroid because I am, a bit of a nut, I guess. 2004, I randomly picked up a copy of Metroid Fusion off of a HMV shelf in the middle of Jersey on a holiday.
Oh, nice.
And then I was like, I like all of this. This is really ticking all the boxes for me. And then every single time I'd play another game, I'd be like, either this isn't really like Metroid, so I won't play that. Oh, this is like Metroid, so I'll play that.
Yeah.
And then, it's all been, I discovered Castlevania, and then everything I look for and play now, I'm like, how much like Metroid is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've played them all. I talk about them all the time. So yeah, and I love to talk about them. So perfect.
Yeah. Well, that was it. I mean, if I thought about Metroid coming out, I was like, who is it that? Because I'm not a huge Metroid guy, I'll admit. Who is it that I know I can talk to who will be like on it in terms of Metroid stuff? And I thought of you. So there we go. But yeah,
there's been a few people who have had me on there. They're like, "Oh, we need to talk about Metroid, so let's just grab Max because he can do it."
Yeah, I think if anyone wanted me for a Super Mario 64 podcast, I'm your guy. But there we go.
I'll let you know if I'm working on one of those.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, in terms of like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? I mean,
oh yeah, somewhat. Yeah. I think I remember 2000. I guess it was end of 2007, start 2008. I would have been 15, I think. And then you got to the end of Metroid Prime 3, and then there's that sort of final 100% completion rate cutscene, and then Samus flies off, and she's being followed by the blue. I can't remember the name of the ship now. That's not good, is it? But the Delaney. It's called the Delaney. And it's like, oh, that's the guy from Metroid Hunters. That's Metroid Prime Hunters. That's Silex.
Yeah.
Cool. Can't wait for that to happen. And then since then, I've finished puberty, finished school, finished my life, and here we are.
I mean, I went
it's just about to happen.
Looked up, like obviously Metroid Prime 3 Corruption came out in it was August 2007, and I think it was later in Europe in 2008 maybe. But yeah, that's 6,669 days ago.
And every single one of those days, I've been telling people, you guys should play Metroid because they're going to do another one at some point. So exactly. You guys should be doing that.
But like that's like pre-Obama. Bush was still in the White House. It's crazy. It's just kind of crazy to think about. Like the iPhone only came out like 2 months prior to that game coming out, and it's like 18 years later. It seems insane that they've left it this long.
No one had heard of the name Justin Bieber when Metroid Prime 3 came out.
This is very true.
And yet here we are.
Yeah, so it was a weird. It's been a longer time, and in terms of like, obviously there has been other Metroid things in between, but in terms of just Prime stuff,
not many.
No, not many. That's true. Maybe we'll talk about those ones kind of in between. But yeah, we got Prime 3. There was a bit of a thing at the end about what's going to happen here with that's the Silex character, who is obviously in Metroid Prime 4. And yeah, in between them, we got what? We got, was it Federation Force? And there was something else.
Federation Force came out like 2016, I think. Right. And then there was the trilogy in 2009, which isn't a new game, but it was, you could replay all of the originals on Wii with the Prime 3 controls. So that was fun. But yeah, there was pretty much nothing other than, when did Prime Pinball come out? Was that before or after Prime 3? I can't remember.
It feels like it would be before.
Not that it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was before because it was a retelling of Prime 1, I think. Right. But yeah, basically nothing. We had other that wasn't really Metroid Prime, but it had like the first person element to it. And I remember when that trailer first came out, I was like, oh, cool. They're doing Metroid Prime in 2D Metroid, or they're sort of combining them into this new thing, the future of the franchise. I thought obviously that didn't go
not quite
very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just been waiting, and I like it's one of those things where when they did announce Federation Force, I know that there was probably quite a similar feeling around from everywhere, the whole internet, but
sure.
It didn't feel like a return. It didn't feel like a joyous moment. It felt like why have you
done
for
this.
almost a
Yeah,
decade.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been like 8 years, and now you're finally doing this.
yeah.
But yeah, then what? 2017 they announced Prime 4, did they?
Yeah, I mean, it was E3 2017, and
Mm.
when they announced it, and then they obviously had that trailer which they called First Look, which was an insult. It was a logo. um,
Yeah.
that's always stuck with me. It just amused me that they called it a First Look. But yeah, that was in 2017, wasn't it? But
Yep. I remember. I mean, I don't. If you're not sort of much of a Metroid guy, did that do anything for you at the time when that was announced, or
well,
was it just like, oh, okay, cool?
I was excited to see the series come back in I mean yeah, in terms
Hmm.
of like my Metroid history. I've played the NES one. I haven't completed it, but I played the first one obviously. I played Super Metroid, love that.
Of course, good.
I played Metroid Fusion, didn't complete that, but like I was like similar sort of age, I think. Probably about yeah, 14, 15. And then
Too scary for you. So
exactly. Metroid Dread, I adored that, and I actually finished that one.
yeah,
And oh my god, that last boss battle, I think I died like 17 times or something crazy. It was
it feels like a Dark Souls boss in there. Like, I'll
yeah.
get him next time. I'll get him next time.
But I really, really enjoyed Metroid Dread, and I've played Metroid Prime back when it came out in 2001, was it? And
2002.
2002, and then I've picked it up on the Switch and enjoyed it there as well. And they did a really, really nice job with it on the Switch, I thought. So that
Oh, it's,
in
it's
terms of my
incredible.
history with
Yeah.
Metroid, yeah, I've not played all of them. Obviously, I've only played the first Metroid Prime, um, but that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah,
So when that, like, I'd sort of recognized that it was Metroid because I'd sort of the clouds were forming like
mm.
the shape of the Screw Attacks logo,
Yeah, that's right.
and I was sort of like,
Stars
they're
and
not gonna. Yeah, I was like, they're not gonna do it. Are they gonna do it? And then like, as it happened, I don't know if there was a video of it, but I was round a friend. We used to do like an E3 thing all the time.
sure.
Every single year, I was like, this is the year for Metroid, guys. This is it. 2015, I got my wish, but it was like the monkey's paw version of the
Yeah.
wish. So like, I don't know, I didn't really react as much. So I just like my hands were in the air, and I was just like, oh Jesus Christ, like it's happening. And then like what,
Finally.
20 minutes later, they announced Samus Returns as well. So I was on cloud
True,
nine.
of
But
course. Yeah.
in that moment, I don't think I realized that it would then be like another, what is it, 8 years wait
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah.
I did not consider, I didn't even like, no part of me thought, I just thought the wait's over.
Well, of course, because
It's
you've already
finally,
waited 10 years at that point. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, the wait is finally over. The game's finally here. I think I remember there being an interview when Federation Force came out. I think they were maybe trying to do a bit of damage control
Right.
when Tanabe, were asking, I think it was Tanabe about, oh, what's your plans for this game? And he was like, oh, well, if I was going to do another Metroid Prime, it would be about time travel and it would have Psylocke in it.
Right.
And now here we are with that. So when that first trailer came out, we didn't get a lot, like you say, it was just a logo.
Yeah.
And I think then there was that old interview must have resurfaced, or maybe he then reiterated on that in an interview or something where he was like, "Oh yes, Psylocke and time travel."
Yeah.
But obviously that isn't the version of the game we're getting now. So I don't like, even though we are getting Psylocke and time travel,
kind of threads
that
of it,
version
yeah.
of Metroid Prime 4 died in 2019, didn't it? So
Well,
it's
that's
just,
it. Yeah.
it's yeah.
I mean, obviously, kind of hindsight's a wonderful thing and all that, but like looking back on that first look kind of trailer and what they showed at that E3 2017, they didn't need to do it. I mean, the first year of the Switch was so incredibly stacked. You had like Odyssey and like the Splatoon 2 and like it was just,
Mario and Rabbids.
yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and
Xenoblade Chronicles
it
2.
was just such a stacked year, and like
Yeah,
obviously
massively.
Breath of the Wild as well, but like they didn't need to do that logo reveal, and it just felt very unusual for them to do that sort of that's so restrained of a teaser. But anyway,
It's weird that like, because Nintendo do, and we've seen that a lot this year with the Switch 2 as well. They do it. They're doing a lot of announce it, release it within a year.
Yeah.
Metroid Dread was announced in the July, released in the October. Like they do
they seem to have gotten really disciplined.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Metroid Prime 4 probably for them was like, we've a bit,
Yeah.
What can I swear? What's your channel rating?
Absolutely, yeah.
We fucked up a bit here,
Yeah.
But then I think Tears of the Kingdom was also quite similar for them, wasn't it? In that they announced it and then it just had delay. COVID, granted, maybe had an impact on that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like delay, and I think those are the two games that are probably made Nintendo realize, okay, maybe we need to be a bit tighter-lipped about these things.
And I think obviously COVID plays a big story here in terms of the kind of Metroid development process for this one as well, doesn't it? In terms of how
because
panned out.
so there's if you look at the ESRB or the USK rating, one of the two for Metroid Prime Remastered, it was sort of rated or tested back in 2021, and the game has to be complete to be rated. So that game was finished in 2021. It was probably, maybe it was just right, we need to get the Metroid gears rolling again at Retro. We've just taken this on from, I think it was Bandai Namco. I think it was the team, well, the rumor is that it's the team that Nintendo just bought this week or just acquired this week.
That's right, yeah. The rumor was it was Bandai Namco Studios in Singapore, yeah.
Yeah, and then now they're Nintendo Studio Singapore or whatever it is. So it'd be fascinating to see like an early version of that. But I can't remember what I was saying now. How did I get there?
Oh, in terms of how Retro were doing Metroid Prime remastered.
Oh, yes.
During COVID, maybe.
Yeah, so they probably were like, right, let's spend the first 2 years just remastering Metroid Prime, remastered rather. We've got like, maybe they had like they must have pitched something to Nintendo to say, hey, look, well, I don't know. I'd love to know what the happened there. I'm sure there'll be a Leah Robertson video in a few years' time that I'm looking forward to seeing. But there had to be a point where Nintendo's gone, this isn't working. What do we do? We've announced it too early.
Yeah.
And maybe Retro have gone, because they're all internal. Maybe they have these discussions. Yeah, they were just like, how about us? Or if they've gone back to Retro and gone, do you think you can salvage this, or can you put this in the right direction for us? Or and then they were like, well, hang on, let's give us a couple of years to work on Prime Remastered. Then we can start the ball rolling.
That's the crux, isn't it? It's like, what were Retro working on that they had to drop to take this project on? Because who knows? Because they were working on something for a long time and it's just gone on the shelf. So
yeah. There was that, wasn't that? I don't know if it was a rumor or one of those fake leaks about was it like an F-Zero Star Fox like crossover thing?
Oh right. I don't remember that one.
I can't remember what that was called. It was like I think it was Star Fox Grand Prix was the name of it or something like that. That might be. I might be spreading baseless information here. I can't remember what the ending of that was, but it could have been that, or
that they were working on some sort of Donkey Kong project, but that's obviously not been the case either because we've got now Bonanza. So who knows?
Which, as much as I love Tropical Freeze, I think it's great that they did relinquish Bonanza to someone else because they could work on Metroid Prime.
Exactly. Yeah. So we had the first look in 2017. We had the cancellation, which came in 2019 in the January.
Which I remember.
Apology video. Yeah, how are you feeling when we saw that? Because you've been waiting 2 years of that.
I remember where I was. You remember where you were when Diana died. I remember where I was when Metroid Prime 4 was cancelled and restarted. I was sat at my desk at I think I'd not long passed my driving test, so I was full of hope and life and
the world's
excitement.
Your oyster.
That drained it out of me. That did. I remember seeing it and thinking, oh yeah, sweet, love this, because I'd seen the video before I'd seen the reactions to it.
Okay.
And I watched the video and I was just like, okay, why? It's almost like you finally get your wish and you think you like for all the franchises Nintendo has 100 different versions of. If you're a Zelda fan, you're eating all the time. If you're a Mario fan, you're eating all the time. For it to be Metroid is the one that they had to do oops, we're sorry, we've had to cancel it, which they've never done before, and I feel like they have never done since.
No.
It just seemed a bit like why did I become a Metroid
why
fan?
This series?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Why have I done this to myself?
What have I done to you, Nintendo? Yeah,
I'm a sucker for pain. It made me feel a bit. First of all, I was disheartened. But then when I thought about it, I am glad that Retro Studios got it back. It's maybe not the same team, or mostly not the same team. But when I was a big fan of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, I think it's one of the games I bought the Wii U for was Tropical Freeze.
Right.
I think Retro Studios are a great team no matter what they do. They've not released a dud.
No.
I think they're so good at a lot of the things that Metroid. I remember Metroid Prime had this thing of like, oh, we're not just going to have platforms for the sake of it. The platforms have to have context to it. And then in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, it follows that same thing of like everything has to have a context to it. If you're jumping on a piece of wood, that piece of wood has to be attached to something, and it has to have sort of elements to it or whatever.
Oh, in terms of like its connection to the world and like its place.
It makes sense. It's like it's digestic to the world, I guess, not just because it's a video game, there's a floating platform.
Sure.
And I liked that and I appreciated that. And like the world would evolve in a natural way that I feel like Metroid games did very well.
Yes.
So there is still that element of creativity at Retro. And I remember thinking when I played Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, I was like, maybe it's time that they just take 2D Metroid back. Maybe it's time that if they're not going to do a Prime, they could do a
Dread,
not Dread, but they could do a 2D Metroid, So I still think there is that element of creativity. There's still there's still people there that have the vision and the idea to do something like that. Granted, since then they've then hired dozens of people from like ex Call of Duty, ex EA, ex God of War, ex Halo.
Devs,
people that have done a lot of first person shooters stuff, which I mean it seems that that's panned out well, but there have been times where I've been like, maybe they're diluting down what makes retro good with first person shooter stuff. Maybe they don't quite get it, you know.
Well, yeah, I guess
But
we'll find out when these reviews hit in the next few days. But
yeah,
yeah, that is one of the kind of connections I picked up on, like in terms of like the recent previews and stuff and the recent footage we've seen of the game is like it seemed to me kind of very Halo coded in terms of the character design for some of the kind of support crew that we see, and it's just that lineage, isn't it? I mean, you can kind of see it, but at the same time, it's like, is it kind of Am I trying to see things that aren't there? I don't know. Yeah.
they seems like they got the Halo face guy, or they got whoever does the faces now is not a guy that's ever done faces for Nintendo before, because these faces look like faces,
Yeah,
you know,
sure
in a way that Nintendo have never done before. These are the best looking dudes we've ever seen which is a sentence I didn't think I'd say, but this is the best looking dudes in a Nintendo game we've ever seen,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. So, in terms of like the series as a whole and where this kind of sits in within it, I mean, this is going to depress you, but I mean, the franchise as a whole, I think, has sold around 22 million lifetime over the course of like what,
Yeah.
40 years. So it's not a huge kind of.
It's not a heavy hitter. I think it was Matt Pisca. Is it Piscatello? That's that the guy?
I know
Yeah.
who you mean.
I think he said. Yeah, he said. Metroid. For the amount of like, I don't know, the gist of it was for the amount of discourse there is surrounding Metroid, that, you know, it doesn't sell enough to deserve this amount of discourse.
Right.
Every time there was a new trailer or a new game, it's chat. Where are those people when it comes to buying the game?
Well,
you know?
this is it. Yeah, this is it. It isn't, the people don't seem to kind of follow through and translate into sales. But yeah, 22 million for the franchise over nearly 40 years. I don't know how many games total, but it's got to be like under like 20, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of like how that compares to other stuff, it's like you know, Nintendogs has sold 28 million.
Yeah. So Nintendogs has sold. No, that makes sense. Everyone's played Nintendo. I had 3 copies of Nintendogs. I'm pretty sure. You know, they did
depressing.
The Pokemon thing. Yeah, that is depressing. It is, and it is like when you think like when Metroid Dread came out, and within like a month they were like, this is the best selling Metroid game of all time.
Yes.
And like, great, that game did really well. I'm really glad that it found an audience. A lot of people that I know who have played Metroid now and hadn't before got into it through Dread because it was that game for them. And it's it's a shame that. I mean, I've spent over half my life now at this point telling people play Metroid. Like all of my best friends, all of the people that I know that play games, I'm always like, hey, you have a Switch, you have the means, I'll lend you the game. I just want you to play this game so I can discuss it with you.
Yeah.
And I think I've maybe got one person I know in real life, no matter how many times I've lent the game out and had to buy a new copy because they've lost it or whatever, I've still never been able to convert anyone else to the game.
So
and I don't know what it is about
the
Metroid.
hard work for Nintendo, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want someone to go, yeah, you're right. This is a good game.
Sure.
Whereas, there's sort of like, you have to play it to understand it, because people that play or people that don't play Metroid Prime but look at Metroid Prime might say that it's just Halo. It's just Nintendo Halo. It's just a first-person shooter. But but it's not. You know, they use the term first-person adventure. It's not necessarily about the shooting. It's the puzzle solving. It's it's if Metroid Dread is about zooming around impossibly fast and just like being cool and killing things quickly as possible, Metroid Prime as a whole is about taking it slowly, scanning things, learning, absorbing the world around you and solving puzzles. They're like 2 completely different styles of games, in the same way that like playing a Halo, you might run around just shooting everything you see, or Doom, for example. You run around just, Doom is very forward focused. You want to be going forward, shooting, and it's designed that way. Whereas Metroid is like a kind of have a look around.
Well, maybe that's part of the kind of rub, isn't it? Is like, a lot of these like first-person shooter games are very linear kind of paths, and they've obviously translated what makes a Metroidvania great and brought it into the kind of 3D space with Prime, and that kind of exploration of a really rich space. And I don't know, is it just the lack of a linear path that puts people off, or who knows? But
yeah, I think there is an element of like, I mean, there's an example. So my boss, I think I'd set up my, what was it? I'd set up like a PSP Go that I had found in my drawer somewhere, reinstalled it, re-custom firmware it, put Super Metroid on it, took it to work, and was like, oh, we were talking about the Ambinic devices. I was like, well, I don't need one now because I've got this. Yeah. And I handed him Super Metroid to have a go, and he immediately did the thing you do when you start a side-scrolling game. Is he went right, and he jumped off the ship, he went right, hit a dead end, and he was like, is this the right way? Yeah. I said, no, it's the wrong way. He said, well, it's a dumb game then, isn't it? And he just turned it off, and I was like, okay, fine, right. So, it subverts expectations, I think, in a way, and maybe it's to do with the way that the game is, I don't know, the trailers of these games are, or the way the games are marketed or whatever, but they do, it's one of those ones, once you've played it, you get it, but maybe it's a harder sell, because it's like, oh, well, it's just it's not as good as Halo at
Well,
shooting,
I think
therefore
that's
it's not
that's
that.
that's kind of a fair assessment of it because like it's a gamer's game, isn't it? In terms of like you have to kind of
Mm.
understand certain like mechanics and kind of things that it's subverting to kind of appreciate what it's doing here. And that's where I think a lot of the stuff with Metroid Prime 4 that we've seen so far is kind of curious. Like the whole thing around like Samus has got a motorbike now, and like here's her friends to help her
Mm.
along the way. Is like, is that trying to broaden the scope? And like, I mean, we'll get to the kind of friends bit but that's kind of my assessment of it. Is that what they've shown so far, I think a lot of people in the kind of like Nintendo and like Metro community have seen it and been maybe a bit disappointed with what they've seen. And the reasons as to
Yeah,
why is
absolutely. There's
because
yeah.
Nintendo aren't pitching it at you. They've already made the sale for you by showing you the logo 8 years ago, you know?
Yeah, this is where the whole like I don't need a direct because I'm going to buy the game anyway. Don't spoil it for me thing is like, well, it's not for you. A direct isn't supposed to get the people who already want the game excited about the game. It's
Yeah.
like the Donkey Kong direct. I was sort of like, yeah, this game looks good, but I don't know what is it. What
Yeah.
is this game? What is the sell here? And then
Yeah.
you watch that direct. 15 minutes later, you're like, yeah, great. I absolutely get this.
Yeah.
I'm on board, and
Yeah.
that I think
Or as
Metroid needs
in the
that.
case
Or
of Kirby, you've watched the direct an hour and a half later. It's like, Jesus Christ.
and then you watch the next one.
So that was a bit too
Yes,
much
it's
indulgence, but yeah.
oh yeah, Sakurai gets what he wants,
Yeah,
doesn't
this
he?
is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think each of the trailers. It's been weird the trailers for
Mm.
me because when the first like re-reveal where we got the Beyond name, we got the logo,
This
and we
was
saw this sort of
June 2024. Yeah. And they
yes, yeah. So when that
revealed, and they showed Silex at the end. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah, where it was like, okay, cool, this is what we're getting. But that trailer, like, I was like, yeah, cool, I'm ready. I get this. I know exactly what this is. I can, as a person that's played Metroid, I can get from this that this is the beginning of the game because all they did was show that opening or cut up opening.
Yeah.
This is the Metroid Prime 3 style opening of like you see all your dudes and you shoot around and you follow a linear path. I get that that's not what this is going to be, that this is going to be more, but I'm not the one you need to convince. So when the next trailer came out and they were showing off Vuros, I think that the issue with these trailers as well is they have that dude.
Yeah.
Nintendo do this where they have the guy that explains what's happening, but in the most boring way possible. And he's like,
really
psychic
monotone.
powers to
Yeah.
open doors, and it's like, okay, but like, why don't you talk about how there's puzzles to solve, or like how you might use those in ways that's not just cool. I have to draw a circle in the air to open this door kind of thing.
Yeah.
That trailer, I was like, okay, I still know what's going on here. I'm still okay with this. I think the trailer that came out after that was the Switch 2 4K 120 FPS. I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm on board. Then it was I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead here for your list of trailers here, but then it was the bike trailer.
Yes.
Which it had such little fanfare, and it was just like plunked fairly near the end. I think it was just before like the roundup sort of montage at the end of a direct.
Yeah.
I don't know what 2 minutes long, something like that, and it had
just Samus
here's
driving
Samus
around an empty desert, on
a bike on the desert, and then it cut to a little glimpse of this is what I'm looking forward to. And I thought I got to the end of that trailer and was like, what have I just seen?
Yeah.
What have I just like? I was like, okay, they will probably explain it, and then they didn't.
Yeah, and it's the case with a lot of these trailers is that I can never decide if it's Nintendo just holding their cards close to their chest and just choosing to be really, really selective in what they showed, and not giving enough, and then they get this sort of reaction. Because I tend to recall the same happened with Tears of the Kingdom, in that they were really, really guarded with that game, and then they had a few trailers that didn't really hit. They were just a bit like, it's more of the same, and it looked a bit safe. And then they had the kind of I don't know if it was 2 weeks before release where they had this kind of blowout kind of let's look at all the cool
saxophone trailer,
that as well. Then they showed you all the cool shit you can do with all the kind of new powers and things, and that was what sold got the hype up, I guess. And I was kind of waiting for that with Metroid Prime, and then it didn't really happen, and we got the kind of trailer where we saw the kind of friends. So
so my issue with that trailer is that it came with the previews, I think, because I'd seen the previews first where they're saying, oh, there was this dude with you the whole time, spent the whole game with this guy, or the whole, it was the big talking point was Myles was talking to us the whole way through our time. I think it was Andy Robinson at VGC said he was like looking around at other people that were at the same point as him to be like, to just meet someone's gaze, for someone to be like, really, is this what's happening? And I thought then I remember thinking then like, this is where maybe some of the more Halo, these outside influences that they've hired,
sure,
maybe have. And I'm not saying that just for the record, I'm very excited for this game. And I think it's going to be a banger.
Mm.
But I remember at that moment, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, thinking, this is a bit, this isn't quite what I was after. But then I watched the overview trailer that came with it. It was like it's like a 7-minute long trailer. I've watched that a few times now. Where when it actually cuts to the bit with the Federation people, there's 4 of them, and they've got various personalities, and they seem to, you're doing different things with them, and it's sort of like if they had shown that trailer to the people that went to the previews, just for some added context, and show that there was more, it wasn't just this guy. I think that the reaction would have been very different.
Yeah.
But I think that trailer was overshadowed by 20 different outlets across the world, all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
When I think if you'd had the overview trailer and let the overview trailer sit by itself, the same way that Tears of the Kingdom, if you had, let's say you had Tears of the Kingdom previews come out the same day as that overview trailer, where they had the cool sax and they showed all the cool stuff, and the discussion was all, hey, there's an underground, you would lose all of the stuff they were trying to actually show you in the trailer, which is
that's fair.
All of the above ground, the stuff you could do.
Yeah.
So I think it was a bit.
It kind of
weirdly
sucked all
positioned
the oxygen out of the room as well, didn't it? That kind of Myles McKenzie attention. But
because when I watched the trailer again, I was like, I can see how if I wasn't being told this was a bad thing because they'd had the 1 hour that they've got to play was with that guy.
And again, it comes
versus
back to Nintendo
the other
holding their cards to the chest. They've chosen to give them that slice of the game, which is clearly early on. It's clearly a bit more handholdy than what we expect the rest of the experience to be. Obviously, we're speculating, but that's a kind of thing where the direction the wind's blowing. But they've obviously chosen that.
Can I be controversial here as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there was I watched a lot of those gameplay trailers because I was like, I'm just gonna, not the gameplay trailers, sorry, the preview footage.
Sure.
I was like, I'm just going to, because it's only the first hour of the game. They can't show you. It was only 20 minutes they could show. They couldn't show you like 20 minutes consecutive, so it had to be cut up. So I knew I was going to be able to sort of watch this, not have too much spoiled.
Yeah.
And sort of maybe get an idea of what the game, apart from them saying, I spent the whole time with this Myles character, maybe they would actually, I would see where he actually fit in.
Sure.
And people were saying it felt handholdy and it felt like he was telling you what to do, and like you shouldn't, you're walking past something, he's going, hey, have you seen that? And then I watched the gameplay footage that they recorded.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to watch because I'm then going, it's obviously just shoot that thing there. And people are like walking around, they're like shooting nothing, they're like shooting something else. They're like, I'm like, oh, scan that. Why don't you scan that? And then this is why I don't watch like people stream Metroid games, because I'm like,
you're like 10 steps ahead of them,
yeah, like I know what I can do here. And it's sort of like, granted, these people might not be Metroid veterans. Sure. It's a new game to them. Maybe the first time I played Metroid Prime, any of them, I was probably the same. I was probably like, oh, where am I meant to be going here? But at the same time, I was thinking maybe this is what we need. If the idea is to bring this up into a whole new audience who don't understand that this isn't just a walk shoot game, it is a puzzle focused game. It is, maybe you do need the first hour of the game to have a little bit of guidance. What I don't want is the sort of God of War, which I love God of War, or I think it's a PlayStation Studios thing mostly from the games that I've played, where like you will enter a puzzle with your companion character, and I'll take 20 seconds to look around the room and they go, have you tried doing that? And it's like, well, now you've taken that away from me. I wanted to do that. Yeah. There was a Limmy's video when Blueprints came out. Remember did you play Blueprints?
I haven't, no. It's on my list.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's a few puzzles in it that involve a dartboard, and you have to solve maths problems using the dartboard. Right. And I don't know, I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to be that guy, but the guy just said to Limmy in the chat, this is how you do it. Do this.
What's the point?
And Limmy had like a 10-minute rant where he was just like, you've ruined that for me. I was going to work that out for myself. You didn't even give me a minute to think about that. You just said, oh, this is the answer. And that I don't like so much in games. Like, let me get it wrong enough times that I get to the end of it. Yeah. And I hope that, I understand that there are some people who do need that, because there are people who
well, I mean,
not that they're
Nintendo's got a kind
not
of
real gamers or anything.
No, Nintendo's got a good kind of DNA in that regard, I think. And if this is the case of like the first hour is the kind of introduction for new players, then I'm fine with that. I mean, I think of it the same as like with Tears of the Kingdom. That's what the Sky Island was. It was like, here's the place where you learn everything, and then you can go down and play. And the same is true with like...
And there are a lot of characters in that game that tell you where to go,
Exactly. And the same is true with things like... one of the Super Mario World games where if you die like 5 times, it gives you like a power up that helps you just complete the level and stuff. There are things that they do which kind of all
Yes,
link
yeah, I remember
together in
that.
these ways to kind of help move people along in a gentle way. And if Metroid needs that to bring more people in, then
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
yeah, same. And it's not like it's the. I don't know. It's not like maybe it's not going to be the whole game. If it was like the whole game was handholdy, I would understand the frustration. We don't know that yet. It very well could be. Reviews are out in a couple of days.
yeah,
We'll see. But it does very much seem like the way that this is like the more cinematic cutscenes, the sort of more open elements to it. I don't know. A lot of these things seem to be like this needs to be a hit. This needs to open up a new avenue for Metroid fans.
yeah.
Or for sorry to bring in more Metroid fans. So let's make that transition as smooth as possible for people that buy this game thinking it's a first-person shooter, and then within a couple of hours go, oh no, this is more of a puzzle game. This is more of a look around kind of game. And if you
Yeah.
then need for that first hour for someone to say, instead of a UI element saying, hey, have you scanned that? To
Yeah.
have a guy say, hey, why don't you try scanning that just to get you over that hump?
Familiar.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think it's fine too.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think there was a lot of hot air about it, but I can see the kind of point of frustration around it, especially if you're kind of a veteran of these sort of things. But it's like I say, it's about broadening the scope,
Yeah.
getting them into the funnel, and then they'll hit.
It is, and I don't.
Then they'll hit a wall. But, yeah,
Yes, yeah. And when they hit that wall, maybe they'll give up. Or maybe they'll, like every other one of my friends, maybe they'll just say, "No, that's not for me. I
Yeah.
tried and it didn't work out for
I'm
me."
not
Or maybe
turning
they'll,
left.
you know, find it rewarding.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'll find it rewarding and they'll find something to love about it, like I do. You know, the fact that I think it's interesting how many of my friends have played games that have cited Metroid as an influence for them, like Hollow Knight or something like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Control. These
sure.
developers who are clearly inspired by Jedi Fallen Order, not Survivor, who have clearly been inspired by Metroid and Zelda, and say they're inspired by Metroid and Zelda,
Yeah,
and yet won't play
don't seek out that
Metroid
inspiration.
games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you make of the whole kind of psychic ability thing as a gimmick?
I think it's interesting to have a new avenue because it's sort of, you've done 3 games. So Nintendo don't often make a sequel for the sake of it. They don't make
No.
a game unless they've got a new idea, right? We see it with Zelda, we see it with Mario. There's always a gimmick or there's a hook or there's a reason to make it.
Yeah.
And if you're just doing, the first 3 Metroids had unique things to them, and Metroid Prime 3 had the waggle stuff. Metroid 2 had Prime 2, sorry, had the dark and the light world and things like that. I think this game needed a gimmick or a hook, and I think that the psychic powers are interesting in that they are a mix between the stuff we've always known and the stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah, true.
Things like scanning is now a psychic power. Things like the whip is now a psychic power, but also there's new stuff we've never seen, like being able to stand on invisible platforms or control things with your mind, or use those motes for power sources. Or I think there's even a new bomb type that is like you create like a psychic energy bomb that you can then use to sort of throw around for you. And I think it's interesting to recontextualize old power-ups in a way that makes them still sort of familiar, but also fresh, and introduce new stuff the series hasn't ever done before. And I'm that first, the first hour, the 20 minutes I've seen from each outlet shows a good variety, and it shows there's like, you can see, I can't wait to try and interact with that later. There's like a little robot on the ground. I wonder what that does when I get the ability to interact with that. Or there's sort of like ways that you can take it and interact with things in a way that you can't do with or that hasn't already been done before in
Sure.
Metroid games.
Yeah.
And that I think is interesting. I'm not a big fan of the jewel on the head.
Yeah,
It's a bit odd.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will grow on me. I think I'm looking at the
And
amiibos there,
and you're not looking at it most
the
of the
different
time.
designs
So,
have grown.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just above your eyes.
So in terms of like, obviously the kind of things that I've heard people kind of have concerns around are like how these kind of characters you see in the first hour or so or whatever kind of break the kind of Metroid tradition of isolation. But obviously I think we've just kind of covered that in terms of it's an early game thing, and we'll get to that isolation maybe later on. And there's also I've kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, in terms of like the kind of that isolation of Metroid and kind of retaining that, but also adding in new things as well. It's finding that mix, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you want to play a game and not just feel like you've played it before.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that was that.
and I
That
think
was the thing.
the good sequel will change that.
Yeah, the thing I was trying to get out there was the isolation that was kind of what Metroid's known for, but then obviously what Other M did was be a
Yes.
lot more dialogue rich and kind of exploring that, and maybe this is kind of a mix of the two, maybe. So I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. So I think Other M did have some like had chunks of isolation with the talking. The issue is that there was too much when it did do a conversation.
Mm.
You were forced to watch like a 10-minute cutscene with
Yeah, it's
a
rather
lot of
indulgent.
talking.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, there is a way to balance it. Fusion did it. Dread actually had her speak out loud
Mm.
for like the first time in a traditional sort of 2D Metroid game, and that
Yeah.
worked really well.
Yeah.
And Adam in Dread is also talking to you every time you go in. It's just robotic voice talking at you.
Yeah. True.
But that's not an issue. It can be done well as long as there are moments of I'm by myself and I'm playing. I can be. I can feel like I'm getting lost and I can feel like I am on my own. And there seems to be a lot of that in Prime 4 from what we've seen from the trailers and stuff.
Mm.
But people can doom and gloom it, can't they?
Yeah.
Isolation is a key point of Metroid, but it's also. So I've said this before to I think it was just on Blue Sky, where I was saying about how it's not a prequel. It's not a sequel to Metroid Prime 1. It's a sequel to Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah.
So people that have maybe only played Metroid Prime 1 are thinking, oh, there's no talking in that game. You don't see any other characters other than the enemies. That is an isolation. Like, why aren't they doing that again? But
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 3 has loads of talking. Are they going to ignore that, or how they've pushed the franchise on? Maybe it's not the way you want it to go,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean it's not a good game and it's not where the franchise currently is. It's like people that judge or people that play new Pokemon games and go, why isn't this like Gen 1? It's like, well, because there's like 30 years of evolution that you just haven't been privy to.
Exactly.
You've played number 1 and now you're seeing 20 years of evolution happen in a second. You're going, well, this is different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would be if you have skipped 30 years of games. And
Yeah.
it's the same for Metroid,
And it's so much more pronounced in this medium as well, isn't it? Whereas if you revisit a movie sequel 30 years on, it feels the same, doesn't it? But yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just feels so foreign. But I played the game in April before the Switch 2 came out, and
Oh, you bastard.
tried the mouse mode, and the mouse mode 120 frames per second. It looked great. I think they've done a great job on the visuals. This is obviously the Switch 2 mode. I think it's going to look a bit like a potato on the Switch 1, but that's just
Maybe slightly, yeah.
that's just where we're at. But sorry for those Switch 1 people. But Nintendo are always good at kind of keeping their word and bringing it out there. So, but yeah, what are you thinking about mouse mode basically? Because I tried it. I thought it would be really, really cool.
I think in the basic configuration, I don't like using the Joy-Con as a mouse. I have quite small hands, but I still find it quite crampy. And my issue as well is that you still have to use the face buttons.
Yes.
I 3D printed a bunch of. I thought I had one on my desk,
That's
but I
all
don't.
right.
But I 3D printed a bunch.
I'll save you.
Oh, here we go.
Where are they? These aren't 3D printed though. I just bought them online. But yeah, you're talking about these sort of things, right?
Very much that exact thing. I've got
Yeah.
a couple of those. I meant to send them out to some friends. If you guys are listening, I'm so sorry. I'll endeavour to get them out to you soon as. But I tried it with that and I put some sort of feet on it. So my plan is to play it sat at this desk. I've got a really lovely like OLED 360 hertz monitor. Granted, it can only go up to 120. But my plan is to play it here at this desk with the Pro controller. However, I would like to, play it like a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Sort of like FPS style of game, because you seem to get a lot of the bosses I've seen and stuff seems to need that precision.
Yeah, well, that was one of the bosses I tried during the demo. Yeah, you had to click like 4 points on their body to kind of, and it was fun.
Yes.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
I wanted to play the Prime trilogy again before 4 came out, so I played it on. Am I going to upset you and Nintendo's relationship if I talk about emulation?
No,
Are we
that's
okay?
all.
No, okay.
Yeah.
So I played Prime Hacks on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Incredible way to play the trilogy. If you're listening to this and I've somehow convinced you and you don't own a Switch 2 or you don't want to start with 4 and you have a Steam Deck or a PC, play Prime Hack. And playing those games with the dual sticks, like an FPS.
Yeah.
You kind of feel some of the bosses, how they're built around the precision that the Wii Remote gave you.
Right.
So there's a couple of bosses where you lock on to the point that should be the lock-on point. The idea is then that you point up a little bit or move around while you're locked on to get the specific points. And you had to be so precise with the stick or, engage. You couldn't even use the motion controls, but like you had to be so precise with the stick to hit these little points
Yeah.
that it worried me a bit that I might be at a disadvantage playing without mouse mode on the Switch 2 because some of those bosses did seem so built around that. I'm hoping there's gonna be like a, once you're locked on, you can use the motion slightly to get your aim.
Nudge it a bit, yeah.
Exactly. So like, well, when you're playing Splatoon, but I would like to try mouse mode. Just to answer the actual question you asked, I would like to play a lot of mouse mode because I'm going to be sat in that position to do so. A perfect, giant mouse pad. I'm going to have it all. I would just like to imagine how it's going to be to not have a keyboard on my left hand, to have a Joy-Con in my left hand, and not get confused by the buttons. It's going to remind me a little bit of playing Guitar Hero on the DS, where it's like, this is such an unnatural thing that I'm doing. To be playing these buttons and strumming it, and it gives you sort of like a hand cramp, or just like my hands confused by this. And I've got dyspraxia, so my hand-eye coordination isn't great at the best of times.
To be honest, I'd just come off a demo of playing Drag X Drive or whatever it was called at this event, and just doing that with the mouse mode, and it was like I was exhausted. I was like, I don't want to play Metroid in mouse mode. Kind of not just doing traditional. And I tried it, and it's like obviously it's not as intense as Drag X Drive, but it was. I did like it. It's a shame I didn't get to try the other kind of Pro controller just to have a point of comparison, but. Yeah, I think I will be giving it a shot in mouse mode because did
it feel natural to you?
The face buttons took a bit of getting used to, but I do think once you've got the muscle memory of it, I think it'll be fine. But again, I think you need one of those adapters for your mice because the Joy-Cons on their own it's a no-go. So in terms of, is it natural? No, because you need some sort of thing to bulk it out, I think. But
I would love Yeah, I think so. I would love for Nintendo to fully adopt, if you're going to go modular, to adopt the option of mouse and keyboard. I'm pretty sure Xbox do it. Not for every game, but maybe games that support a version of mouse mode could also. I think Cyberpunk on the Switch 2 has, you could attach a USB mouse and use that as your pointer. But I don't know if you can use a keyboard as well. I just think if you're going to do it, go the whole way. Release a keyboard, a Nintendo keyboard. Release a Nintendo. You've already got the webcam. Release the microphone. I don't know. Just do the whole desk thing. Yeah. Because otherwise, you're in this weird point of I'm using it on my leg, and I don't really have enough leg.
Well, that's the
to
thing,
be able to aim where I want to go.
It's clear. It depends how hard they go on it in terms of this generation, but it just seems like them trying to tick another box of where you can play this thing because you have it on your TV, you got it in your bag, you can play it upstairs in bed or whatever. But a lot of time, people are sat on the computers at a desk and they want to capture that and be able to play there too. So it's interesting to see them try it and approach it. So I'll be interested to see what the response is to that because I enjoyed playing it in that kind of setup. So.
I'll definitely give it a go because I'm in the perfect position to do so. If I was a sit on my sofa gamer, I'm not buying a lap pad to try this out in mouse mode. I can't see that being a very common
use case, but I'm not a PC gamer really. I mean, look at my excuse of a mouse, so it's not going to happen.
Well, no.
So not so much. So we're a few days away now, aren't we, from it actually dropping, and reviews are expected I think Tuesday, so we're only a few days
I'd imagine
out.
so.
Where do you think it's going to land?
It's so tough to say because everything that I see and everything that I'm seeing in the trailers, but because from experience I'm looking at this and I'm then extrapolating that out into be right, so this seems to attach to here and this reminds me of this in the old game, or you kind of get an idea that of what else there is going on because you've played these games before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the people that have played it are then saying there's a lot of talking. It sort of feels different to Metroid in the past. So if I had to take a guess, I think this is going to land very well, but maybe not as well as the previous games. Okay. Just because it is different. I think it's one of those games that the reaction at launch is going to be different to reaction 5 years down the line when we go, oh, actually, wasn't Metroid Prime 4 really good? Yeah. The same with Metroid Prime 3. I think people were, because of all the talking and all the waggling, people might have been harsher on that game then than Metroid Prime 2 or Metroid Prime, the original one. But when I played through the trilogy, I was like, well, actually, I think 3, for all that it does differently, is a more forward pushing, it feels more familiarly Metroid than 2 because it's got the Chozo.
Wasn't 2 notoriously grueling as well?
Yeah, 2 on the GameCube was tough, but they fixed it for the trilogy, I think. Okay. So it's not as hard, but it is grueling. In there's also the light world and the dark world, and sometimes where you want to be is in the dark world at the room you're in, but the nearest portal's over here, so you
Right.
have to go 3 doors away to get in that portal to then navigate blah blah blah. And it was the one where I was just like, oh, this
Bit of a
is
slog in
not as
places.
smooth as I
Yeah.
would like. Great game. It's still a great game. Sounds incredible. Looks incredible. Like it still stands on on its own 2 feet. But I do think that 3 edges it just because it is more of a it just does more interesting things with the world and the abilities and things like that. And like a lot of the stuff feels more fleshed out than 2 and 1. Like some of the morph ball, spider ball bouncing around, like cannon stuff in Skytown, all the gliding around, all of the grapple whip stuff. It's all really cool in a way that I think took 2 years for them to go, oh, we have enough room in our budget to do this and this and this now.
Right.
And I think that maybe with Prime 4, in a few years after the initial, like, well, it's not the same as Prime remastered. Maybe if they release 2 and 3 remastered as well at some point, and people get get to play the whole trilogy and experience it and have that argument with themselves and let it settle in their own minds, they might come around to it.
Well, that was
I say this as someone who's never even played it, but What about you? Where do you think?
I mean, in terms of, well, actually, before I tell you to think where it's going to land, one of the things I find quite interesting is I saw an article this week, and I don't know when Nintendo said it, but apparently Nintendo said that this is a new story. You don't need to know anything from the prior games to come in and play this one. And it kind of got me thinking, why call this 4 then? Why can't just call it Metroid Prime Beyond or something like that and have a fresh start?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sticking a 4 on it might put some people off, and they're doing a lot of
I
work
wonder
in the
how
game.
much. I wonder how much of that stems from and when the way they announced it, having to announce it as Metroid Prime. You can't really announce it as if you don't have the foundation to give yourself a subtitle yet. You're gonna have to go with Metroid Prime. I don't know. The Metroid Prime series is returning, whatever it might be. But what does that mean? Maybe it was originally
sequel
planned.
To Breath of the Wild is now in development, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's that sort of thing. Maybe you originally planned it to be more related to Metroid Prime, the original trilogy, or they did, and then they stopped and they had to then start with Retro, and Retro were like, well, actually, let's push this in a new direction. But people were expecting Metroid Prime 4. Maybe you announce Metroid Prime Beyond and we're like, is this a spin-off? Is this the Prime 4 we've been waiting for? I don't know. Like, there's obviously ways that
I think you're right.
Can...
They kind of dug themselves into a hole by announcing it in the way they did, and then
yeah.
And obviously the silence, the bridge between these two games, and
it would probably be easier to stomach if there hadn't already been Federation Force and Federation Force hadn't had the response that it did. If you come out with Metroid Prime Beyond and they're like, well, hang on, is this a Federation Force Metroid Prime, or is this you can probably see from the gameplay trailers, but also if you're in a shop looking at a box and you're going, well, they've stung me before, so am I going to get this? Whereas saying this is Metroid Prime 4, it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting here in terms of
obviously
the Metroid Prime
there's
gameplay.
Been a conversation there in terms of you want to bring back the people who have played the previous ones, but it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And in terms of where I think it's going to land, I think it obviously is really, really, really polished, and it looks the part. And I think there's going to be that kind of core Metroid Prime experience that people are really, really love. And they're doing cool stuff with the kind of they're using the kind of new technology of the Switch and stuff. Switch 2, sorry, Switch on the Switch, I guess. But I don't know. I think the kind of previews might have set a precedent there. I don't know. I can see it kind of coming in at like an 87, 88 on Metacritic, something like that, which is good, but not like amazing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's where I think it'll land around an 88, 87 sort of thing.
I think we are currently in such an obviously negativity sells era of like video games discussion online. There has not been a game that's not come out with some, if it's not like controversy about the sales, it's an accusation of being woke or just something ridiculous where you try and engage in discussion about a game that you're excited about, and you hop on the internet ready to like, cool, what's everyone saying, and all you get is negativity. Yeah, when I went on Reddit when the Switch 2 came out, and I was like recommended a subreddit called Fuck Nintendo, and now every time I open Reddit, all I get is people just complaining and like the negativity, and people will hear a YouTuber's opinion, or they'll hear this Myles opinion, they'll take that as fact, and then they'll that's then the conversation about the game is currently all about Myles. If you go on and you look at anything, it's Myles this, Myles this, Myles this, Myles this.
Yeah.
And there's I don't know why it is. This isn't just about Metroid. This is just about all
Broader, yeah,
games at the moment. It
absolutely.
seems, and it's a shame that Metroid Prime 4 is coming out at this time.
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago, it might have come out and people would have gone, well, let's give it a chance. But everyone just has to lean. It's either black or it's white, and
Yeah.
they seem to think this is bad.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, and normally I wouldn't like call out certain outlets, but the Metro, they've recently run reviews for two Switch 2 games where they gave them both like 4 out of 10. It was Age of Imprisonment, Hyrule Warriors, and the Kirby Air Ride, and they didn't put a byline on it, so I feel comfortable saying that because there's no one's name attached to it, so it's okay. But it was just the reviews were just overtly negative and just like, why does this thing even exist? And it's like not actually critiquing it for what actually was presented, just questioning why it exists in the first place. And that was the case with both games. And like, oh, well, all Musu games are rubbish, and oh, this Kirby game doesn't need to exist. We've got Mario Kart or whatever. And it's that.
This is Metro, as in like the newspaper Metro.
That's right. Yeah, Game Central at the Metro.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Both of their recent Switch 2 reviews have been really, really harshly critical. And it's that sort of thing which I think you're speaking to in terms of the kind of negativity, and it's obviously chasing clicks. I understand the rationale behind why they've gone and done it, but it's not good criticism. So,
yeah, this is the same Metro who run like a readers. Hey, this is our readers' opinion panel, and it's like, what? Who is this person? Just because this person's opinion is strong enough, to warrant like to be, it's clickable. It's and it's always negative. It's always a hateful. The ones that I see are like, hey, here's this thing and I don't like it, and there's no nuance to it. It is because a good part of being a good journalist is being able to have that nuance, I guess, or being able to sort of say, hey, I understand this, and here's some facts sprinkled in around my opinion here.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with negative reviews. It's just a case of how you approach them.
Absolutely, yeah. But there is, if you have no way of looking at it as some, I don't know, like, it's really hard to say, because I think an opinion, a review should be a subjective thing. I think if your review, or people seem to think that a review should be like an objective, what looks like a spec list or whatever. I don't know. A review should be a wholly subjective thing.
Yeah.
But if that subjective thing is wholly negative in a way that other people, no one else has had that opinion. Like, no one else has said this is 4 out of 10 trash. Everyone else has said, yeah, this is pretty good. If you don't like it, you're still going to find something to like, or they can appreciate the artistry that's gone to it, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
If you're going to sort of come in with like a 2 out of 10, yeah, exactly.
It's shitting the bed for attention. Should that person be taken seriously?
Exactly. Yeah. I've gone off taking some of a tangent here to complain about current media top things.
You gotta get them clicks. So that's kind of where I think it will land as a result of that kind of broader context. But I think the game's going to be very, very good. But that kind of preview stuff has probably tainted the water somewhat.
Yeah, but I hope that doesn't. I hope that the reviews come out and people that have played the full game will lead with, hey, just if you're worried about this, it's not the case.
Exactly.
And we know there are going to be some YouTubers who will say, hey, you've seen my video on this before. I'm happy to say it's this, and people might then change their opinion. But I've also given up with the idea that you can present someone with a fact or like a something and go, hey, this should change your opinion, right? And they go, no, I'm digging my heels in. I think the way that things are right now, that will happen.
Yeah, changing minds is not an easy thing to do. Absolutely.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's out on when? Thursday? I assume
it is out on Thursday.
I assume you're getting the Switch 2 version.
Yes, yeah. I've pre-ordered it. I've actually got. So I was waiting. I was trying. Where's the best deal? I want to spend as little money as possible in this game. There's not doing a special edition, so I'll just get whatever version I can. So yeah, that would be the way. But I ended up getting a digital Switch 2 edition and then a physical Switch edition just to have on the shelf. So I've actually doubled down just because I want to play it at midnight. I had the day off on Thursday, and then I've got the week. I've never taken a day off work for like a single player game before. Right. I've only ever taken days off work for like new Monster Hunter releases where I'm hanging out with a mate of mine. And we'll sort of do like a 3-day stretch on the game when it first comes out. Yeah. So I thought, right, I'm giving myself just the time to not be distracted by anything else. I just want to, I've waited 18 years for this. I'm not going to let anything ruin it. And I'm actually having the busiest weekend of the month that weekend as well. And annoyingly now, that's all sort of things have cropped up. But I've got the time off work to really enjoy it. So yeah, digital all the way. Switch 2 definitely, because I want to enjoy that HDR and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
120 hertz mode, and just be able to try all the different modes and try the different ways, and yeah, see how it's going to
I think
look.
for me, I'm going to pick it up, but I think it's probably going to be my Christmas game, and I'm going to try and chew through it over the holiday period. So
Yeah.
that's my plan at least. But I am looking forward to it, and I am approaching it as somebody who hasn't played 2 and 3, so
Hmm.
there'll be some lost context for sure. But it's one of those things I always look out for when I'm trying to do like a review roundup. Is like find someone who is obviously a mega Metroid fan and knows this ins and outs and can tell me, yeah, this is legit, this is the real deal. And also someone
Hmm.
who maybe isn't overly familiar with it and be like, can I approach this and can I actually get something out of it as someone who isn't like
Yeah.
super fan, you know? So
Get like a
it's
broad spectrum kind
yeah,
of
it's
thing.
tricky.
That's what you want. You want
It's
to.
tricky to find them sometimes, but yeah, that's what I try and find. Yeah, when I'm bringing them together.
There's a tendency with these reviews, and they and I hate. I'm not going to name drop some, but there's a person who specifically does these kind of roundups who is a quite aggressive Nintendo fan in that they are well known from the pre-Twitter for being like
Okay.
an aggressive Nintendo fan, right? I don't know if that is going to ring any bells for anyone, but their review roundup is take the top 10 scores and
Yeah.
list those,
Yeah.
and there's no room for nuance there. It's just like, hey, look at all these nines, but
Yeah.
then you might also, it doesn't matter where they're from, they're just the highest scores, right? So I think to
Yeah.
do it in a more objective way like that, to be like, hey, no, it is, it's more nuanced than that. There is actually some people saying negatives
Yeah, I try and
or
shine
being fairer.
a different variety of voices. Otherwise, I'm just doing Nintendo's PR for
Yeah.
them, aren't I? So, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Which I seem to have done for the last 15
You've done
years.
it
So.
swimmingly, yeah. You bought 2 copies of Metroid. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did the same for Primary Masters as well.
there we go.
Three. I think I got 3 copies of Primary Master. I got a one from is it Play Asia? Because I wanted that Japanese cover,
Yeah,
and then
of
when the
course.
physical finally arrived and it had a reversible cover anyway, I was like,
Oh
well, it's
well,
on its way,
Celebi.
so whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy it come Thursday and you have a blast with it on your day off. And thank you for talking everything Metroid with me.
Oh, mate, thank you for having me on. I love talking about Metroid, and you'll probably see me doing it over the next couple of weeks on Blue Sky, just non-stop.
Yeah.
Like, what are my thoughts? What do I like? How's it going?
So, talking to Blue Sky, where can people find you on there?
Yeah. I don't even know. How do I? Is it just? I think it's
What's
just
your
Max L
username?
Wright. I'm Max L Wright most places. I think it's there. You go at Max L Wright.
I'll
There we
put a
go.
link in the
And also, if
description. There we
you,
go. Yeah.
yeah, go on. And also, if you're interested, if you have somehow have a Steam Deck as well, you can find us over at flipscreen.games. We have Steam Deck podcasts on there. Weekly. We try and do weekly at the moment. Just talking about that lovely Steam Deck.
Yeah,
So
I can
yeah,
vouch for this. The Flip Screen Games guys, they do some great podcasts, and they're always a joy to listen
you've
to.
been on.
I've several times. Yeah,
We've never actually crossed paths on there before,
I
have we?
don't think we have, no, but
No, no,
yeah,
no, no. Yeah.
yeah. Me and Max crossed paths when I commissioned him to write an article about Metroidvania. So there we go.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
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 for
yeah,
Overkill.
yeah.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
we
yeah. Forgot all about that.
go. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, man.
Oh well, thanks very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.